I just want to
This
see if it
man
worked.
Parker loves Nvidia. Just, I
Dude, I
mean,
love Nvidia
that's
too.
all
No,
start.
not one of my clients believed in me, and I convinced all of them to keep it because it went down to like, 130 or something like that. They ain't complaining anymore. Like
I
even
love
my
it.
grandfather was like, I don't know, I'm gonna sell it, just take my losses. Like, don't you dare. Just trust me once.
So we're just going to look at some individual stocks, and I know y'all are going to probably talk about Nvidia and some of those other companies, and I just found like a fun quote, or you know what I mean? It's like a gold rush. They're not necessarily selling the actual product, they're selling the IP to run all the technology. Like you need the chips to run all the computers and software. And we all know AI is like becoming increasing in business to like offset costs of labor and stuff like that. So
What was that
stuff.
ticker FNGU that you sent me the other day? That was like a
Yeah.
leverage semiconductor ETF. That looked pretty interesting.
Yeah. The year to date return on this has been insane. It's up 100% in the last year. It was up 300% year to date, 400 something at the
What do you
peak.
what makes it different than SOXL?
So it's got 10 holdings and it's spread like about 10% in each. And you got Facebook, Tesla, Nvidia, AMD, Netflix, Apple, Amazon, Snowflake, Microsoft, and Google.
They're
So
betting Snowflake pretty big, but I like this portfolio. This looks like my ideal portfolio minus the leverage, but this is like what I would hold.
And the only thing downside about it, besides it being risky, obviously, is that ETNs eventually will mature and transfer into something else. And it's like it's kind of weird when it happens, if that makes sense, because it's like if you don't know about it as a retail investor, suddenly it's converted.
well,
Mm.
with that, we can just add one more Q on that. Um,
I still remember when you called me on this, Max, one day in like the middle of the workday. You're like, I got 5 minutes. I need your opinion on
this
this.
is such a new product. Like, look at that. Like, basically, January 2022. Look at that volume, 5 shares of this shit at $4 a piece. But it really does track because if you look at the year to date, and I think you can do this at like, here it is at 69 cents and it's down here at 20. It does track, like it's really illiquid. And obviously, we know how as prices decline, leverage NASDAQ stocks are not going to do well.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, it's the same thing with like Bitcoin. You might as well just do like 100x leverage then and just like
I
ball.
mean, because
ball.
if you look at the rainbow chart right now, and I know this isn't like anything, but
No, this is as good as gold. The rainbow chart is like
Especially,
it's
did you all
honestly
hear the news?
stuck pretty well for like when it was made. I know they've updated it a few times, but
for
Did
the
y'all hear
low.
they blocked a bill in Congress today that they are not going to establish a U.S. central crypto bank, therefore keeping, cryptocurrency for now in the same status that it is currently?
no, but that's kind of big news. I know what's his name? DeSantis is like super against the CBC or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, that's
CBDCs.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they
Did you see
Congress vetoed it today in the committee, so it's not going to go to the floor. So it will take another, a year or two before anything happens. So that's huge for, Bitcoin and Ethereum, which in my opinion are the only two coins that are really going to last for a long time.
this was literally last night. Citigroup announces piloting of city token services. So they're basically doing like a Bitcoin NFT and they're tokenizing stuff so they can transfer for fees faster. So they're basically proof of concepting the crypto technology and Bitcoin being like first to market.
Are
You
they
know,
memeing though? I just saw the price was 42.69.
I think that's their share price.
That's their share price.
That's just a meme in general then. So
I mean, we can look at Citigroup on.
Yeah, 40, it's 42, 30, not 31
yeah.
when they
So when the
closed today.
article was written.
So their debt's like kind of high. Earnings are like $6 a share for a $42 stock. $100 billion in sales.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a value play. Like
Net income was
They're not
22
technically a
million,
regional bank, are they?
2021, 15
They're a
million.
national bank.
We'll go to ASO, my favorite. This company is this
You've been
gonna
calling
keep
ASO
changing?
for a good year or two now.
I'm gonna be so happy when this goes to like $5. I'm gonna be
But on
like,
the weekly is nice.
so this is like an older IPO for sure, but still a newer stock. Like on the monthly, this is only like a 2020,
Yeah.
October 2020. But they got like nearly $8 of earnings. I have in my thing here a quote from their last earnings call. So this is from two separate things. So I'll move this. So the company is a leading full line sports and goods outdoor retail product retailer. They have 270 stores in 18 states, and they're planning by 2027 to open an additional 130-ish stores to get the 400 stores total. And they're only in 18 states, and they're pretty popular, and they're opening about
That's huge.
now 13 to 20 to 30 to 50 states or stores a year. And they're trying to be pretty cash conscious about when they're opening them. So I think this is a good stock because, you know, they're doing 6 billion in sales. Long term, you know, they're keeping 66 cents out of every dollar they make. And they're making nearly $8 a share, or adding 50% more stores over the next 4 years. And they were talking about shrink in their last earnings call. If you know about Foot Locker and Macy's tanked, which is why this sector is doing bad, because, you know, theft and stuff like that, unaccounted for merchandise. But in ASO's earnings call, they didn't have that problem, because they're not like a in-mall retailer, and they cater to more outdoor, like country type people, if I'm putting it bluntly. So I think long term, you know, this is like a Peter Lynch stock. If you know the story about legs, it's just like a common, people shop here. Like if you've ever heard of Academy Sports, if you've ever been in the South, like I hope both of y'all know what Academy Sports is.
Oh yeah, I love going to Academy.
I've never been, but I do see this store.
Like,
It's a wonderful experience if you get a chance.
Is it like Bass Pro Shops level good, or
It's similar, but it's more geared towards sports
it's a
and it's
more profitable retail store, and they pay a
camping.
little bit of a dividend. You hold this thing, you know, this PE, seriously, when they open 400 stores, this earnings, they're going to be making $12 earnings a year, and they're going to start paying you over 1% a year in a dividend. And if you just let it ride, like in a long time, they're going to be the next, you know, 500, 1,000 store retailer in the United States when they're, you know, fully across all their categories. So I like this one. I have some explosive TAM growth stock, total addressable market, for those not familiar. So I'm talking about SoFi, Affirm, and Weight Watchers, just to pick a couple that I just think are interesting. So SoFi is a banking app, and I just put a couple small notes in here we can expound upon or not. You know, SoFi student loan market share and banking, position them. Like I wrote this, you know, just because I was thinking about, they're an online business that is getting a lot of dollar volume of people committed, and they have a really low margin in term, or like cost to operate, because they're not a brick and mortar retailer. And so if they get a bunch of Gen Z people on there addicted to like just a quick online easy user experience, then I feel like they might be more likely to stay on the platform, and they can just grow without having to grow their expenses necessarily down the line. We can kind of look at their stock just on a fundamental basis as a guesstimate.
do they
They're
have
doing finally 4 cent. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, do they have any differentiation between Robinhood?
So SoFi has a banking charter that they got last year, which is their differentiating factor. I'm glad you asked about that. So like ASO more so as being like a portfolio diversifier, just because you want to have some like cash flow businesses in terms of in-person transactions. But obviously, you know about semiconductors. And I think some semiconductors are really the big play in it all, because I think it's the highest beta versus the S&P. And we all know about storage and data and cloud computing. This is just a chart I picked up. the growth basically from 2021. And these are just estimates, what they're doing about 30% a year. But basically the thought behind it is just the S&P is growing 30 bips a day in perpetuity, slightly above inflation, and house prices and cash and bonds. Then if you can just leverage, like you can take advantage of some daily compounding over long time horizons, but you really have to dollar cost average in them because we all know how brutal it is when they go down. You know what I mean?
The leverage ETFs. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
they're more of a short-term instrument than a long-term hold, in my opinion.
But here's the thing, since inception, I know this is cherry picking, but I mean, 3,000% since 2010. And TQQQ is even better because it's got, it's gone down a little bit less, 9,000% return. And it's not even anything. This isn't a company. This is just leverage companies in the Qs. Like, that's all it is.
What's QQQ done since, I guess, what's that first date, 2010?
That's the bottom of, that's the peak bull market. That's basically in the rebound of the Great Recession.
Yeah, I know. And if we're going to like cherry pick, the only thing about leveraged ETFs is that fee. And then if we go look at like,
well, they take it out daily.
If we go look at Japan, they haven't gone up since the 80s. And then it's like, okay, you have no growth, 30 years sideways trading. Like,
no, I mean, there was a period where it took like 25 years to make a new high.
Yeah. No, and that's like common in stocks. It's not like uncommon that your holding period, like even Microsoft, it's like 17 years before it returned $1 after 2000.
Well, that would be brutal. I mean, but at some point, then it becomes worth it, right? Like,
Max, we only know post great financial crisis stocks. Like,
but here's the thing.
Look at Warren Buffett when he bought his first stock in 1942.
You got to read The Anatomy of a Crash. Let me unblur.
No, that's the whole point. Is a crash is good because you just buy more.
This is a great book.
You just buy more. This is interesting, by the way.
Oh yeah, I've looked at these before.
Prospectuses.
What scenario do you think is the most likely? I feel like the best case scenario for the hypothesis we were just talking about would be this, that we're like incorporating Bitcoin and processing into AI and like everything we dream, like NVIDIA sells a gazillion chips and GPUs and CPUs, and like Intel is like making bots that do our laundry for us. You know what I mean? Like, obviously in that scenario, we're paying them $500 a month for their services. As wages rise, inflation, they have to make more EPS because dollar is only worth 50 cents. So you have to, notionally, it's more.
I think Max is right. I think technology is only going to increase, especially in the state of the war that we're the world is in this kind of state of remilitarization. And during times of remilitarization and conflict, technology goes through the roof. Look at every major war conflict we've had on this planet, technology advances and even civilian technology follows. And so with NVIDIA, I mean, you need chips to do any type of weapon system pretty much these days, unless it's a dumb gun or a dumb bomb, which is like your standard stuff. Everything else is a microchip, and who are making this? NVIDIA, AMD, Taiwan Semiconductors. And so, I mean, it's only going to be beneficial in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I work at a weapons detection systems company, and our software runs on just NVIDIA GPUs. Like, that's how it works. And there's so many players in the space right now. So it's like, you're basically saying who's going to sell. It's like the gold rush. Who's going to sell the most shovels? I'm definitely stealing someone else's quote. But like NVIDIA is selling. NVIDIA.
Right. They're not mining for gold. They're selling the shovels.
Yeah.
And their earnings per share for the next 5 years is 80%. I don't know if these are fully updated, but they probably are. And at $16 a share.
Next 5 years, 55%. I wish that number was lower.
So I mean, they're $1 trillion company.
Yeah.
Finally. I mean, it's crazy. A long time ago, it wasn't.
Well, you have to think they're pricing in all of this data center spend that's gone to CPUs for the last 10 years is now going to go to GPUs. And NVIDIA owns that market.
Put it this way, the average consensus among analysts for NVIDIA in 2024, they predict NVIDIA to come to reach a revenue of $79.5 billion. And then, which is in 2025, it increases a little bit to 80.77. That's huge compared to what it's made. I can pull up what it made last year. In 2022, the revenue was 75.3 billion.
I will say, I do think NVIDIA is at like peak hype in the short term. I think
I think it is in peak hype. I think it's cooling off.
Too.
This is cooling off peak hype. Look, that's 2 months already gone.
Oh shoot! I was looking at the wrong stock. I was looking at Citigroup still because I still had that up. I was wondering why it seemed so low.
Damn, $40 a share I'm buying.
I know, I was too. It's 50. They made 26.97 in their fiscal year for 23, and their estimates are 54 billion in 24 and 77 in 2025. And in
Max,
2026 is almost 100.
This is wild. Like, and it's finally starting to play out. I think I texted you in like first week of September that there was a head and shoulders on this.
I mean, it's great, right? Like, I'd much rather buy here than up here, for a long time.
You're not buying at the top.
And what's nice, guys, too? NVIDIA is starting to pay a dividend. Even though it's small, it's only going to grow over time.
Let's go back to NVIDIA for a second. What kind of dividend? They do pay a dividend. SUPERCYCLE pays a dividend.
0.04%. It's small, but it's only going to grow over time.
It is going to grow. It's 16 cents a share. That is going to be like a joke one day.
I mean, but look at Home
I think
Depot.
They got it from their
all the time.
MAXIMALISM merger. I think that was in their agreement.
SUPERCYCLE also pays 14 cents, but on an $18 stock, and it's triple leverage and has NVIDIA. Just to throw that out there.
But here's the Debbie Downer about that really could hurt NVIDIA and every single chip company is if China decides to go to war with Taiwan. Why? Because NVIDIA gets the majority of their chips from Taiwan Semiconductor. And AMD gets the majority of their chips from Taiwan Semiconductor.
Yeah, but it's not a U.S. stock. Like, Taiwan isn't actually a country that can defend itself.
I know, but if there's a reason why Taiwan is building factories, or Taiwan Semi is building factories in the U.S. so they can supply, the supply chain with chips. Because right now, Taiwan Semiconductor provides 50% of the chips globally.
Well, if you think about, if we're only talking underlyings, the underlying of every single one of Taiwan Semiconductor's machines is ASML. So now, if we want to go a layer deeper, like ASML is the true champion here. And this is such an underrated company. Like, I feel like not
$3 earnings. It's a big stock. They got a dividend.
This is
22% earnings. They have a little bit of debt.
Because Taiwan Semiconductor buys their equipment and then they go and program it to their standards. But it's like Taiwan could just move all of their factories to America if they really wanted to.
How good really is their IP? Go ahead, Trevor.
They own 90% market share on EUV lithography. I mean, I could go down a deep rabbit hole on this, but they're the they're the only ones that make 3-nanometer chip machines. So and then they're going down. They're at 5 right now. They have the capability for 3, but like the high NA EUV, there's this guy that makes these videos called Asianometry on YouTube. I'm telling you, if you got 20 minutes, like best like stock advice for like anything technology comes from this guy. He does like a 20-minute deep dive on just random technology companies. And I'm like, this is like good stock information. So he's got like a bunch on ASML, as well as like China and stuff like that too, and like what's going on kind of geopolitically, but also does some random shit like bubble tea. But I like his videos.
This is not a paid promotion, by the way.
This is Definitely subscribe to the Patreon as well.
Subscribe to our Patreon annually. I mean, here's what scares me about Nvidia. Like, not scares. This is not. I should say rephrase it. Here's what excites me about Nvidia because I don't know how too much y'all read in their financial reports and their annual reports, their calls, and the different presentations. But NVIDIA is coming out with so many cool new products, like instant translation software is in its final stages of testing. And it's
Yeah.
basically like a human comes on the screen and you think it's a human, but it's a robot. And it tells you exactly the same type. And NVIDIA is the first company to develop that. They have this NVIDIA cloud gaming that you can have the crappiest McDonald's connection computer. You pay for their premium service and your game
Yeah.
downloads off the cloud and you can play on max settings. And you have Chat GPT, and which will only get refined in the future. And it's just, and there are more and more
Dude,
graphics cards.
GPT is ridiculous.
Dude,
Yeah.
it
I
could
use
write
my
it could write
car
my
and
Coast
stuff,
Guard
like
bullets, man.
everything.
It could write my Coast Guard evaluations better than I ever could.
You can pass the bar with Chat GPT. You can it literally is better than first year med students already in preliminary diagnosis and stuff.
I have seen that it's gotten dumber because like Chat GPT 4 is now a thing. So like all the updates go there. But like the unpaid version has gotten a lot stupider. I don't know if you've seen that or seen any articles on it, but I still love it. Like it still writes all of my emails for me.
Dude,
It
it's the
writes all my,
beginning.
I'm out of office emails, right? No, but
That's
like
pretty
you
good.
also like what it's good to look at the technical and the fundamental analysis, but you have to look at what's in the news and what the company's making. Because at the end of the day, some of the
Yeah.
greatest companies on this planet, Amazon, Microsoft, they were built an idea and a product that they thought that was gonna, be huge in the future.
Well, who knows, honestly.
I mean,
Um,
that's what I try to do every day is look for what's going to be the next big thing. And that's why I think medical marijuana is going to be huge, especially when legalization happens.
Yes, I'm glad you said that actually.
I
I
see the
believe it.
potential. Like I'm up here. The weed stocks are here, you know.
I just think it's popular. I think people approve of it. I think once all these 80-year-old senators get replaced, it's gonna get federally legalized. And in September, actually, at the end of this month, like literally within 10 days, it's going to the floor of either the Senate or the House. Um,
I guess I'm
for
just not
The
thinking
Senate,
long
the
term.
Senate, it came out today. The Senate
the
hammers
Safe
out
Banking
updated.
Act.
Yeah.
And they can then, instead of using cash deposits, they can finally use like Wells Fargo with all their cash money that they're making. And I'm in Florida now. We all have been to Florida. We all know Florida well. That's just one state that's legalized and it's pretty popular. They make some revenue
There's
and
even
it's
going to be on the
growing.
ballot max in 2024, I think, for should marijuana be recreational legal.
I think that would pass.
I think it's going to pass too.
I think we'll see, but
And
Well,
guess who's
mine
headquartered in Florida?
my
Truly.
dad, for the first time, he's 66, tried edibles, went to Michigan where it's legal, and he loves it now. I'm like, you're just a like you're a pothead now. Like this is amazing. But it helps him sleep. Like he likes it. I did have one thing I wanted to know. If Brent crude oil prices spike, short-term inflation will go up, which cause panic, which will cause stocks to deteriorate. In my eyes, I could see that happening in like a month. Like
you have to diversify with some like ExxonMobil or Antero
I
Resources.
have
What do you feel?
none, I have zero energy.
I
Like
I
have
have
zero
none
energy
either.
too.
It's such a boomer sector, and like
It is.
they
It really
literally
is.
tell you every day they want to ban fossil fuels, but they won't. But
I mean, I still have a car. Like I see the potential on how it's like undervalued because like if you look at utility companies, even like the power that comes into your house powers your iPhone, but Apple is worth more than the whole sector combined. But it's like without a utility company, Apple would not exist because no one could charge their phones. But it's like it doesn't really work like that. So
But speaking of energy, which is kind of because it relates to Tesla, did y'all hear they've potentially found the world's largest lithium mine out west?
Like in United States?
in the United
I didn't
States.
see that.
Oh, that'll be sweet.
Can you share?
Yeah, I'm trying to. It said 7 days ago, a large lithium deposit has been discovered in an extinct volcanic crater on the border of Nevada and Oregon. The deposit spread over the area around the Thacker Pass, hold 20 to 40 with a maximum of 120 million tons of lithium.
You're
Everybody
gonna do
shares.
some weird things with that, but they could probably make a lot of EV batteries for sure.
Yeah, so this is I've seen this is just the first article I pulled up, but I have seen it several times other in different credible places as well. It was made by Columbia University and was published in the scientific journal Science Advances. And it's a new type of lithium deposit. So mining could begin in early 2026. So they obviously haven't, no company has made claims or bought rights to it yet. So it'll be interesting to see if Albemarle or Freeport McMoran or who decides to buy these mining rights, because Albemarle right now is the world's largest, at least the United States largest lithium mining
Yeah.
I
corporation.
mean, Tesla could buy them. I mean,
But you got to have somebody to mine it, and that's why Tesla buys all their some stuff from mining companies. It's specialization at the end of the day. So it's
Yeah,
gonna
and
be
there
interesting
ain't
to see what this means for the world,
in the
because previously
lightest
it was
terms, there's
Australia.
nothing going on in like Nevada. Like Carson City, there isn't shit there.
Yeah,
Like
well,
if
it's
you get
natural
some mine there, at least you
resources.
got a city. Like
Dude, commodities too. I mean, lithium's like going places, but uranium spiking, sugar prices, feeder cattle, OJ, oil, everything. I mean, like the main ones, and we already know eggs are like a gazillion dollars more than they used to be.
they've come
And
down a bunch, but
eggs are the new gold bars.
dude, everything went to the moon. Nat gas was $10, lumber was 800,
the
steel
orange
was.
juice trade would have been a move this year.
Future contracts. Let's go.
Here, let me share my screen. Look at this.
Oh, I've been all over the OJ and
Look at
sugar.
that. The last 2 years, that's insane. What is it? Can we get like a year to date? Like, can I just put in OJ? No. But
Type in cane because I bought this the other
Oh,
day,
cane sugar.
and
nice.
it's just tracking the daily
God,
price.
that's a huge increase.
Nice.
And if you go to the go to futures in the bar, and then sugar's in the middle bottom. I think, yeah, right there, third one down. And so go to month,
Oh, I think I got
and
it.
right under your name, right? And then see, it's like at a 12-year high.
Nice.
Gee
Oh,
whiz.
it looks like it smashed through that support right there. That's a pretty big candle.
I think the upside risk goes down obviously as it goes up, but I think it's going to go up. But I don't want to be buying it at 30 because then it's only going to go up a couple more bucks in my opinion. Because
You see my
it's got
big brain TA analysis right there? Just like
it's got to all put together. You know what I'm saying? It says we got less than 1 minute left. I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all got the last words.
I think we're in an interesting time for the market, and don't diamond hands, I guess is what they say on Wall Street bets, but it applies to the real world stock market too, especially if you
Don't sell
believe in the stock.
Nvidia at 100 is what you're saying.
Exactly.
hmm.
Either sell it now or hold it for the long haul.
Yeah, I'll say buy SPY. That's just the safe bet.
The standard
Dollar cost average.
portfolio.
As
Love
I
it.
buy into
Can't go
Upro every
wrong.
month.
I love y'all. Appreciate it.
I'll catch
Love
you
you too,
later.
bro. Peace.
Signing off. Peace.